Made significant improvements over the course of the weekend, actually beginning to close down the back of the pack, as it were, having been a significant margin away in the very first free practice sessions. A massive step forward from Supersport 300, of course, to jump up to the premier class in the World SBK paddock, and he's managed that with aplomb. Yeah, and I have to say Oliver's done a really good job, because he's pretty much on the same sort of pace as what we saw from Lars Grasson for most of the year. So he's jumped onto a superbike and given a good account of himself, and we'll wait and see how the next couple of years transpire for him. Obviously racing in the 300 championship this year full time. He has had some big bike experience in the Endurance World Championship, but we'll wait and see where he goes for next year. Yes, only 0.6 of a second away from Tito Rabat in the Super Pole session here yesterday. That's bad news for Rabat, frankly, but it does also show that Koenig is getting there or thereabouts on towards the tail of the field. 18 rider entry, so a little bit of attrition, and he could be a point scorer in his debut weekend as well. At the other end of his career is this man, Chaz Davies. It's a final weekend for him in the Superbike World Championship before retirement from the series. Go 11 have already announced Philip Ertl as the man who will replace him in 2022. But a long and illustrious career as far as Chaz Davies is concerned. Yeah, Chaz tweeted earlier in the week, 27 years since he started his racing career back in Wales, so it's been a long road for him, and I think it's easy to forget that it's not just the time you spend in World Championship action, it's the time to get to that point as well. And Davis has put in the hard yards. He's going to have earned the beer tonight for a really successful career, and what we've seen from him all the way through in World SBK is that he's one of the top riders. He's just unfortunate that his years at the top also coincided with Jonathan Ray's years at the top as well, because Chaz could easily have picked up a World Championship or two to go with his Supersport World crown. So what are the chances of Toprak Razgatlioglu claiming the title with a race to spare? Well, you'd have to say good. A top two finish would do it, as I said previously, and Toprak has finished inside the top two in 60% of races in 2021. It is the second consecutive season that we've gone down to a last round decider. Last season, though, Jonathan Ray only needed 3 points from the final round to seal the title. This season, you fancy he needs a miracle. Yeah, and for Ray, the miracle might come in the form of a little bit of rain in the next 15 minutes as well. We did have a few spits of rain around about 20 minutes ago here in Indonesia, so we'll wait and see if that changes at all. It did get very bright momentarily. Now it's gotten a little bit darker. The clouds starting to come in again. We're going to be keeping our eyes on the skies. We said it multiple times before this weekend even got underway. The only way that Jonathan Ray could make up that kind of points margin, 30 points, was if misfortune befell Toprak, or if we had weather conditions that favoured Ray more than the current series leader. Yeah, and I think a few spots of rain could bring in that little bit of randomness to the proceedings. Obviously enough, you'd expect Toprak to be really strong in dry conditions. But speaking to the riders after the morning warm-up session, Garrett Gerloff said that if you were offline at all during the morning warm-up session, there was absolutely no grip out there. So that's going to be one of the key things. If you're able to try and make some moves, you're not going to be able to venture too far off the racing line. History, though, is against Jonathan Ray. The Superbike points leader has only changed at the final round on 6 occasions during this championship's history. The largest margin made up ever has been 12 points by Sylvain Guintoli back in 2014. So Ray will have to make more history if he's to become world champion again this afternoon. Look at the grid then. The front row featuring the top 3 in the championship standings and in their pecking order. Toprak Razgatlioglu on pole. He's outscored Jonathan Ray in 6 of the last 7 rounds. He's won 5 of the last 8 races. He could be world champion as early as today. 25 points, of course, available this afternoon, and a 30-point lead. So a very realistic chance of taking the title as early as this morning. Yeah, and certainly for Toprak, you can see down there on the grid with Keenan Sofoglu. Keenan, a 5-times world champion, and probably the best mentor Toprak could have hoped for, to give him that bit of experience, give him that bit of knowledge about what it takes to get across the line. Once you're on the bike, though, it's up to Toprak to get it done. He's looked so calm all the way through this weekend, really relaxed. You'd expect him to be able to get it done, and he could easily do it in race 1. Razgatlioglu, the championship leader since the end of the Catalonia round, and he took the lead of the championship by just a single point at that stage. He's steadily increased that margin since then. 19 points he gained in Jerez, 4 points in Portimao, and 6 in San Juan. Jonathan Ray certainly has been digging in, particularly last time out. He lines up from P2, having already taken the championship lead back from Toprak Razgatlioglu twice this season. Can he do it a third time? 4 consecutive podiums to his name. Only one of them, though, a win. Just 3 victories in the last 7 rounds. It's going to take something very special. Yeah, from that form in the Netherlands, whenever he was able to pick up a treble victory in Assen, it really has been tough going since then for Jonathan Rea. You could see him there on the grid, steely-eyed determination there. He's really focused on the job at hand. Doesn't want to have too many distractions on the grid, so certainly for Kawasaki, they'll be focused up on making sure that Rea's got all of his boxes ticked. 15 minutes to go, though, so plenty still can change. As you can see in the skies in the background, there are still those clouds in the air. 200th Superbike start with Kawasaki today for Jonathan Rea in the middle of the front row between Toprak Razgatlioglu and the man on the outside of him, Scott Redding, who could yet have some say in the destination of this 2021 world title. The Ducati man completing the front row of the grid, and as we said previously, real chance that he could act as a spoiler. Our most recent race winner, who took race 2 in San Juan 5 weeks ago, 10 podiums in the last 12 races. He has been the only rider consistently able to fight with Rea and Razgatlioglu in 2021. 187 points up on teammate Michael Ruben Rinaldi behind Scott Redding, so guaranteed at least a bronze to add to a silver from 2020. 36 points behind Jonathan Rea for second, and set for his final weekend on board Ducati machinery. Yeah, certainly for Anthony, let's head down to you on the grid.
Thanks, Alex. Just here with Scott Redding now, who just saw on your screen. Obviously, conditions will change throughout the race, pretty to be expected. But right now, what do you see on the sighting lap?
Dry, mate. It was dry, no real drops at the moment. So, but you know, we saw yesterday that can change by a click of a finger. So, get out and just deal with the situation when you get to it. So that's where we're at.